right, we're here with the third evictee of the season, Ferg. It's kind of been a couple of days since your eviction, but if you can kind of like recall kind of what happened through your perspective, that would be nice.
Yeah, like I'm still probably a little bit confused by the whole thing. It's been kind of a bit of a frustrating time. I mean, I came into the house in obviously a very kind of like positive mood. Real enthusiastic about playing, and I'm not really sure, was it just something I did wrong? Was I not social enough? Was I not reaching out to people enough? Was I not like trying to make connections, or was there kind of like other factors at play where we might have known each other beforehand and already had established their kind of social circles or alliances and just weren't as focused as maybe kind of reaching out to me and aligning with me. So to be honest, I'm still as confused as I was when I left the house. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm sure I'll probably get a little bit more of an idea once I'm in the spec lounge and I can see people's DRs and I can understand fully what exactly went down. But I guess for the moment, yeah, just trying to communicate with everyone was a bit tough for me. I felt like a lot of my conversations were kind of one way. I was reaching out over and over again to talk to people. Like I completely understand that I was reluctant to speak to some people about game. I've always been that way in orgs. I've kind of struggled with that side of the game. Um,
Mhm.
I'm good at being social when it comes to kind of being open and honest about being like, I want to work with you or should be in an alliance. I kind of freak out a little bit. So maybe that was my just my downfall in the end.
All right. Did you feel like your time zone played any aspect into like that making it harder for you to socialize with people?
I'll always don't want to blame that sort of situation. I don't want to kind of use time zones as an excuse for reasons why people I wasn't able to talk to people. So I'd like to think no. Obviously, people are going to have a better opportunity to speak to each other when they're in the same time zone, but there's still going to be times where we're all online at the same time. So I just don't want to let that be a factor. I don't want to kind of use that, as I said, as an excuse. Everyone's given the same opportunity to talk to each other. So
Hmm.
I might have been the case, but I don't want to let that be the kind of deciding factor.
That's a good way to think of things. I guess kind of a good place to start is, the previous cycle, Aria, like one of your close allies, was kind of on the block and ended up leaving. You voted in the minority there. So did you just totally not see that one coming?
It was Yeah, it was an interesting scenario. Obviously, coming into the game, as someone that I knew kind of well from playing Celestial Big Brother, and I knew obviously Josh from that same org, so I kind of instantly made an effort to align with them, and maybe that was partially my downfall, that I didn't make an effort to spread myself a bit wider, give myself a wider base of kind of allies across the house. Like obviously going into a house of just 9 people makes the game a lot more intense than you'd expected. There was just kind of
Hmm.
20 new people starting straight away. I think you get to a final 9 in a typical org, that's when it starts into jury mode and it starts to escalate and everyone is kind of on edge. So I just didn't react well to that sort of situation. It was a bit annoying at the time because obviously Legend had indicated his target was to go home. That had been inactive with me. Kat was someone that I've hosted before. Hadn't really spoken to me much during the first cycle, so I was quite confident that Arya was active. I know Legend had asked around to various different people. They were comfortable. Who was the only person they weren't comfortable going up on the block?
Hmm.
And I assume a lot of people, some people said Arya, so it was probably quite confident if she went up on the block beside Kat that people wouldn't evict Arya. But I completely understand that people maybe saw Arya as being a bigger social threat, a bigger strategic threat in the game. So it might have been a good opportunity at that stage to remove maybe a stronger player from the game. And the bit that frustrated me was one, it was a short voting cycle. So I think there's only a kind of a few hours where, partially my own fault, that I stayed up, didn't really reach out to people to see what exactly their voting plans were, which is probably more my own fault than anything else. But obviously, it would be nice to have had people reach out to me and say, by the way, this is what do you plan? What's your plans for the vote, and this is what we're planning to do. So it's never nice being left out what the plans are, but I don't know whether that was being asleep and everyone being active at the same time. They were able to just communicate better. I kind of feel that if there was probably no like bad intent towards me on that part. So obviously it sucked. There was a person that I probably felt closest in the house, probably wanted to go furthest bit in the house. So losing them early kind of put me on the back foot a little bit.
Makes sense. So Nick being announced as the HOH, was that like a red flag for you, or did you think nothing of it?
Um, I didn't think it was the worst case scenario. I had maybe one or two conversations with Nick prior to that. Well, a couple of conversations prior to that I felt were kind of good conversations, that we got on well and talking to one another. Obviously, I was a little bit worried that anytime I had talked to Nick, I had kind of had to reach out to him myself, make the first move to say, "Oh, hey, how are you?" and kind of initiate the conversation. So that kind of left a little bit of a red flag. And then prior week, him going out of the way to take Jasmine off the block. Jasmine was someone throughout the whole game who basically just never responded to me. And that was mainly the big red flag, because I thought, okay, if he's willing to save her now in this circumstance, I felt she was probably the most inactive, the easiest person to evict. And that obviously meant that they must have been close. And then maybe he might have been close to other people in the house. It did take me off guard, the fact that he said the reason he was putting me up was because I felt that I didn't talk to him enough. I didn't talk to him enough about game when I was consistently making an effort to try and talk to him, and he wasn't making an effort to talk to me. So that's what kind of hit me the worst. I completely accept that I didn't make any effort to talk to game with him, but he was someone I did feel at the time I was comfortable with. I did think there was other people that more inactive than I was, that weren't, well, they definitely weren't talking to me as much as other people were. So I just didn't understand from that perspective why I was immediately a target. It might have been the case that I was on the wrong side of the vote and I was just an easy person to put up with, along with Josh, because we're the two people who voted to save Varia.
All right. Well, it was a 4-2 vote for you to leave. So who do you think was the 2 votes to keep you?
I think that Drake may have voted to save me, and then possibly Jacob. I think they would be the most likely people to have saved me. I know Jasmine and Legend were pretty straightforward with me to say, yes, we've already promised votes to Josh. They didn't really give me a particular other reason as to why we're keeping him, apart from the fact that obviously he was able to talk to them first and plead his case before I was, which is fine. I mean, I understand there possibly is other reasons, and they might not want to share those reasons because it's not good for their game. So I've no issues there. He did say that he would save me, but had been a bit distant, so I didn't really expect him to necessarily be telling me the full truth. And then I knew Kat was kind of on the fence for a while, just prior to the vote. It was kind of like, okay, no, I don't think at this point in time I'm likely to save you. So, yeah, I think the most likely people I feel that would have saved me were probably Drake and Jacob.
All right. You are correct on Drake, but not the second person.
Okay.
It was actually GT who was the second vote to keep you.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Yeah, no, it doesn't bother me too much. I mean, I had known Jacob prior. He had hosted me in an org, but we didn't necessarily have much of a relationship. So, and we didn't necessarily get a chance to speak each other very much within this particular org. So, I don't feel that I had any particular loyalty to me based on this game alone. So, I guess I completely respect that. Yeah, we hadn't really spoken, so there was no particular reason why he should vote to save me. If he was thinking of just this game alone, then he might have had better relationships with other people. He might have had a chance to speak with other people a lot more than he spoke with me. Maybe I took the relationship for granted. So I don't really have any issues there. I mean, he
Hmm.
probably did what he felt was best for his own game, and I respect that. I mean, he did say that he would like me to stay in the game, and obviously that wasn't the case in the end. But I'm not the kind of person that isn't it is ever going to feel bad about a situation like this. I mean, people will have to look after themselves. Like if I was in, if she was if it was the other case scenario where he was on the block, I'd obviously make the decision based on my own game, and I'd probably make a selfish decision. It's what I felt was right. So I mean, there's no reason why I should get annoyed for him for doing a similar style situation.
All right. Well, let's take a look at your goodbye messages. You should see a channel called Exit Interviews, right? Let me know when you're there.
Yeah, I'm there now.
Awesome. So this first one is from Jacob.
I mean, that makes sense to me. I feel that Asman, Legend, and Kat had already decided that they plan to evict me. So I assume Jacob would have known what Nick's plan was in the event of a tie. So they've gone to a 3-3 vote. Jacob probably would have known that Nick would have been evicted me anyway. So I think he was just doing what was best for his own game, and he knew that forcing a tie probably wasn't in his best interest. Um, no, I mean, I completely respect his decision to evict me.
All right. This next one is from Jasmine.
I mean, not much to say really. Yeah, I knew Jasmine straight away was going to evict me. She told me straight up that she was going to evict me. I think it's interesting how she says that her and I never spoke to each other. I think and you guys as hosts would have had sight of our one-to-ones. I did make probably didn't make enough efforts, but I did make some efforts to talk to Jasmine on multiple occasions, and I was either ignored or I was kind of left on red for like 2 days, and then she'd come back and say, "Oh, sorry, I didn't respond to you," and then I'd respond to her immediately. She'd just leave me on red again. So it is what it is. It's a game at the end of the day. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna I'm not gonna hold anything personal, but it sucks to be in a situation where people are like, "Oh, we never spoke to each other," when
Yeah.
there was a clear um clearly made it clearly didn't go out of there didn't go, they clearly made it. What am I trying to say? They clearly want to make an effort to talk to me within this game. So I mean, closer to other people, they have other allies and they're still in the game. So I mean, that they're still in the game and I'm not shows that they did something right and I didn't do something right. So yeah, I have to respect that.
I get that. Um, Next is from Kat.
So I completely understand. We've I've hosted Cat in another org, but I completely agree that we've never been close. We didn't really talk much while I was hosting, so it's obviously clear that Drake put in an effort to keep me in this game. My understanding, based on what Cat's saying there, is maybe Drake is also making a strong effort to keep Arya in the game last week and to evict Cat. So it may have played a big part in the decision to evict me. That Drake may have been passing around some rumors about Cat to make sure that Cat got evicted week one, and that maybe that just backfired on me week two, because I felt I was close to Drake and I was close to Arya. So Drake was one of the driving forces behind trying to evict Cat week one. Though I believe, even though Drake Cat, I do understand where Cat's coming from and saying, okay, her biggest enemy in the game at the time was Drake, and if Drake's trying heavily to keep me, then it's going to try and weaken Drake as much as possible. It makes sense. I mean, I'm not happy that she didn't want to keep me, and she let an issue between her and Drake decide what happened. Her and Drake decide what happened to me, but there's always going to be a case where we get caught in the crossfires of what's happening with other people.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next is from GT.
I'm actually still shocked that he was one of the people that he was one of the people that saved me. I would have been fairly confident that he would have known what the dynamics would have been within the house, and he would have quickly kind of flipped to the majority. Kind of makes me think that the dynamics I thought existed in the house maybe weren't as strong as I first anticipated. Like, I kind of assumed that once Arya was evicted, that the likes of Jasmine, GT, Jacob had kind of like formed a little group, and then me and Josh were on the outs, and kind of Legend was somewhere stuck in the middle. But yeah, no, I'd had a couple of conversations with GT, and it was a similar type of relationship as I had with Nick. Felt I was initiating a lot of the conversations, and in GT in particular, obviously being 10 or 12 hours apart, it probably didn't help that we kind of very much struggled to have a conversation with each other. So I don't really know what to say about the goodbye message, because I'm still kind of still a little bit shocked that he was the person who kept me. I would have anticipated it to be only Drake who would have kept me, if Jacob had flipped. It's probably a nice surprise to see that he decided he wanted to keep me in the game.
Cool. Next is from Nick.
I think what jumps to mind to me is, like, I'm just still confused. I'm still a little bit confused as to, like, why he felt he wanted me out of the game, like why he felt he had better connections with other people. Obviously he must have had obviously better conversations with Kat and GT and Jacob, who I felt were quite inactive with me as well. So I mean, it's obviously just a case that he obviously struck a better bond with them, had a better relation with them, had a better connection with them, which I don't have any issues with that. Obviously, in a situation like this, you'd nearly prefer to turn around to you and say, "Oh, by the way, I was working with X, Y, and Z, and we formed an alliance kind of week one or day one. We've always been working together, so I wasn't able to put them on the block. You were kind of the only other option. You ended up getting evicted." It'd nearly be easier hearing that and getting evicted that way. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here, it's kind of just like, I'm still a little bit confused. Like, I'm not confused, but I completely understand. People are going to click with other people. They're going to have more things in common with other house guests. And that just happens in games. I mean, it happens with me in games where morgues, I feel like click with a lot of people in other orgs like this. I feel like I struggle to have conversations with the cast. So I mean, it just varies from situation to situation. So I mean, there's not much issue I can have in this scenario. Yeah, as I say, just probably had better connections with other people, and that's just how it works out. And I enjoyed the time I got to play with Nick. I enjoyed the conversations, the short conversation I did get to have with Nick. So, I don't feel I have any kind of anger towards him or any. I'm not particularly pissed off towards him or anything like that. So, I just kind of just wish him all the best in the rest of the game.
Fair enough. This next one is from Drake.
Okay, so this starts to finally make a bit more sense. If Drake is saying that there was a majority alliance probably formed off the back of the area. So I mean that probably puts me more at ease. The fact that okay, there was a majority alliance working away that didn't include me, and if that's the case, then that's I only have myself to blame. I didn't make enough connections to get myself included in that majority of alliance. Talk the game to people enough and make enough strong social connections. Yeah, so I mean, like Drake is someone I felt like I had a very good connection with and I really enjoyed playing with. So I mean, it's almost the best case scenario leaving the game is just to know that okay, there's a majority alliance that occurred in a house of 9, which is a small number. So an alliance of maybe 4 or 5 people who decided, okay, we need to work quickly in this game. We need to form an alliance. We need to take control of the house. We need to evict people that we feel aren't as socially connected with, haven't had the best connections with. And I mean that's how Big Brother works. Alliances form in the beginning. People are on the outs, and it works from every game. I mean, I've been lucky enough in some games where I've been in a strong alliance from day one. We've controlled the game, and there are games I felt in the middle or stuck on the outs. So, yeah, no, I'm kind of nearly relieved to hear that there was an alliance that occurred kind of early on.
Mm-hmm. All right. Finally, Legend recorded a very short video for you.
What I really want to say is I love Legend. Like I think he has definitely been my favorite person in the house. I think he's been I guess most enjoyable person I've had the opportunity to talk to. I think he was left in a bad situation in both weeks. He didn't want Arya to go. Arya went, and then having me and Josh on the block, I genuinely believe that was the worst case scenario for him. So I mean, I had an absolute pleasure playing with him. Absolute pleasure getting to know him. I feel like he's one of the few people that I hope to keep in touch with outside of this game that I actually had a genuine connection with, and hopefully a friendship might be able to build off our time playing together. So he was always honest with me. He was always straight up with me to say that he was going to evict me over Josh, and completely respect that. So yeah, no, there's not much more I really have to say.
Awesome. So another newbie has been evicted since your departure. What is your prediction as to who it is?
Predictions of who I'd love it to be. Who yeah,
Well,
there's a couple of different ones. There's who would I want it to be? Who do I expect it to be?
I guess both.
Yeah. I think based on I, I feel just based on my own connections with people, I feel put in the most effort into the game, or well, with me specifically. just a general kind of social connection perspective, I'd love Jasmine to have been evicted. In terms of gameplay and who I felt were based on who I felt were the biggest threats right now in the house, I feel the best thing for everyone would be hopefully that Nick would have been evicted because I feel he was the biggest threat in the game. And then I think the most logical scenario based on the dynamics probably would be that either depending, well, it obviously depends on who won head of household, but I feel that maybe Josh or Legend might have been evicted. I think if the majority I think are in place and Legend and Josh and Drake are on the outs, I feel Josh may have been evicted, but if the likes of Josh or Legend, Drake won head of household, maybe Nick would have gone. So I'm probably gonna say either Josh or Nick might have got evicted.
Interesting. Your first guess was correct. Drake was evicted.
Okay. I think I said Jasmine first, didn't I?
Yeah, but like as far as who you actually expected to go, that was
Okay,
correct.
yeah. Okay. Sucks. So it sucks to see Arya leave first of all, then me, then Drake.
Hmm.
I think it would have been worse. It would have been like Arya, then me, then Josh. But if I'm following this game and it's me, Arya, Drake get evicted. I watch Legend get evicted. Then I watch Josh get evicted, and then I don't know what I'll think about this game. I honestly think once the houses merge, the veterans are just gonna pick the newbies off one by one. And I think I kind of hope that Josh and Legend are still in the game, that they have that opportunity to flip and just go with the other side, and hopefully figure out how they can build connections with the veterans. I know Josh knows a couple of people, the likes of Isaac and the likes of Zach, so hopefully he can use those connections to his advantage
Hmm.
and kind of turn on the rest of the newbies. But just hope I hope from my own perspective, watching being someone who wants to watch the game, that it doesn't just become veteran house versus a newbie house, and then kind of just gradually pick off one side. Well, I wouldn't mind the newbies getting picked off one by one, but nice if it kind of became more of a fluid house where there's multiple sides form, and some combinations of newbies and vets.
All right, perfect. Thank you a lot for playing. We really enjoyed having you.
No, thank you very much for having me. I wish my time would last a little bit longer and I could have added a bit more to the game, but hopefully there's a small chance in the future I get to come back and redeem myself.
We will see on that.
You won't be able to say anything, but no, honestly, you guys so much for giving me the opportunity to play. I know I won't be happy leaving this game with how I perform, but I honestly really look forward to playing and just being given the opportunity to have a chance to play, just means a hell of a lot to me.